Right now, it's the first weekend of spring, and it's going to feel like it. How long this warmer weather will last and when the chance for showers will return. And after some mixed signals earlier this year, we're learning more about the future of Foxconn in Wisconsin and what it means for people living in our state. Plus, instead of survive and advance, the Badgers are one and done. How Wisconsin players say this could help them next season.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning. It's 5 a.m. on March 23rd. I'm Madeline O'Neill in for Josh this morning with meteorologist Chris Reese. I think last time I was sitting here, I was talking about whether or not spring would ever come, and I think we finally made it.
We did make it,
yeah.
So that's good news. No snow in our forecast. We do have some rain to talk about, unfortunately. But even still, the first half of this weekend is going to be rather beautiful. Clear skies out there right now. The temperature 25 degrees, and that's where we're starting the day, not ending. So that's certainly good news. Down towards Janesville, we are in the upper 20s, lower 20s out towards Waukesha, and some teens do show up in the far north. Black River Falls at 16 right now. All of these temperatures about 10 to 15 degrees colder than this time yesterday. But by this afternoon, things are going to warm up. The reason for that, while winds are calm, that general direction that they're starting to blow out of is the south. That's tapping into some warmer air, 50s across parts of Missouri. And so that southerly wind means a lot of that warmer air is going to start working its way towards the upper Midwest. And that means we will see a nice trend in our temperatures going all the way towards 50 degrees by the time we get you towards this afternoon, along with plenty of sunshine that will make for an absolutely spectacular Saturday. Traffic-wise, if you are headed out early this morning, cars are on the road. So far, no issues showing up at all.
All right. Thanks so much, Chris. Drier weather this week has allowed most area waterways to return to normal. In the meantime, last summer's historic flooding, that's what's wreaking havoc. Reedsburg announced this week it will be losing its only movie theater to damage from flooding. In a Facebook post, Star Cinema says it's no longer economically feasible to stay open. Staff says that's because FEMA isn't allowing them to remodel, which means they're down to 2 auditoriums. The theater is located next to the Reedsburg Main Street Bridge, which was closed in August after the Baraboo River crested. And one of the area's hardest hit last weekend is recovering. After nearly a week, the Highway 16 bridge in Columbus has reopened. Crews had to close the bridge when floodwaters from snowmelt covered it. While waters receded earlier this week, city officials had to wait until state inspectors could make sure it was safe. The State Emergency Operations Center says damage from flooding in 16 counties in Wisconsin is estimated at more than $1.6 million. Back in Madison, UW researchers are anxiously awaiting the spring thaw so they can test the chloride level of Madison lakes. The abundance of salt put down this winter is expected to have an impact on local lakes. Every year, Lake Mendota and other freshwater lakes are seeing rising concentrations of salt because of runoff from road salt. Mendota has a chloride level 25 times the amount it had before salt started being spread on the roads around 80 years ago. Of course, the size of the lake makes a difference. UW limnologist and assistant professor Dr. Hillary Dugan says it takes longer for larger lakes like Lake Mendota to see a high chloride level versus smaller lakes such as Wingra.
You have to remember that any salt that gets put on the ground is going to end up in water, either in groundwater or in surface water. And so we're seeing 2 problems. One is our groundwater is getting saltier, and so that's a big problem for drinking water here in Madison. And then we also see the concentrations in our lakes going up.
Stand by.
Dr. Dugan says state and local agencies are aware of the environmental threats of road salt on lakes and have been instrumental in implementing policy changes, explaining why Madison usually doesn't salt city streets. Although she says this year, of course, was different. New overnight, you may have noticed several squad cars near the intersection of Fish Hatchery Road and Greenway Cross. If you were out overnight, Madison police were called there on the city's west side for a report of possible shots fired around 2:30 this morning. When officers arrived, they checked and didn't find any evidence. Despite resignations, in part because of public scrutiny, the Madison Police Department Academy graduated one of its largest classes of recruits. 36 men and women with backgrounds ranging from basketball coaches to an attorney and an aquatic plant harvester will be serving as MPD's newest police officers. During a speech at the graduation ceremony Friday night, Chief Mike Koval challenged the diverse group of new officers to help change the narrative around law enforcement.
You can be an officer and you can wear a uniform and be very blend in with everyone, but when you talk with someone on the worst day of their life and you can kind of give them some sympathy and some empathy, and you can show them that you're a real person as well, just like them, and you're able to change their life, maybe not for the better that day, but for the better in the long run, I'm excited to be able to get that opportunity.
Another class of 50 recruits, the biggest ever, will graduate at the end of May. It's officially a new season in Wisconsin, and we're not just talking about spring, but construction. Yes, those orange barrels are starting to pop up everywhere again. Work has resumed on the multi-year Verona Road project. A reminder that northbound traffic between Williamsburg Way and Raymond Road has shifted back to the new pavement on the west side of the highway where it was last fall. Nightly lane closures between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. will also start back up again. The DOT says 2 lanes in each direction will stay open to traffic during peak traffic times. The project is expected to wrap up in the fall of next year. Construction is also starting again along an area that was riddled with crashes last summer. I-3990 near Beloit and Janesville will begin construction work in early April. Roughly 13 miles of the interstate will see delays for the next 4 months. While this will cause delays for drivers, the DOT says it's a sign of progress.
We went swiftly from winter and cold to the orange barrels and spring weather, but people, I think, are ready to see this change. It's been a long time in the making. We've been talking about these changes at Highway 26 and 14 for the past 4 years at least. And so now we're finally able to put the shovels in the ground and move the dirt to make that change.
Thiessen says speed limits will be lowered in construction zones. And speaking of driving, some analysts say the spring is bringing more green to the ground and less to our wallets. The site Gas Buddy predicts the price of gas to climb toward the $3 mark before peaking this season. We saw a 2.5-cent increase around Madison, now up to an average of $2.53 a gallon. That's a quarter more than a month ago. Wisconsin is among the states that have seen the biggest jumps in gas prices since the start of the year. The Badgers fell victim to the dreaded 5-12 matchup in the first round of the tournament Friday, losing to the Ducks 72-54. There certainly was hope for the Badgers at halftime when Khalil Iverson had a high-flying dunk with 3 seconds left that tied the game at 25, but the second half was all Oregon. Greg Gard said their point guard Peyton Pritchard made the difference in the game. Not only did he score 19 points, but Pritchard set up some of his 6'9" teammates for some spectacular lob dunks. One that really finished things off came in the second half when Oregon outscored the Badgers 47-29. Our sports director Jay Wilson was in San Jose and talked to players and coaches after their one-and-done loss.
We had 3 or 4 possessions consecutively where we didn't get good looks or turned it over, and they were able to capitalize, and then they get separation. It's hard to play from behind against a good team. So we knew that coming in. We had to making shots was going to be a big component and a big part of what we do. In order to have success against the zone and to try to loosen them up a little bit.
Our defense has kind of held us together all season long, and then for that stretch there, it kind of went away from us, and you know, we can't be trading buckets. And then there was a couple times we came down and we didn't score, and they were hitting threes, and that's kind of how that lead grew.
The Badgers exit earlier than they wanted, not the way they wanted, but starting another tournament streak was the most important postseason goal.
It was definitely a big step from last year, but it's definitely not the way we wanted it to end. So, like I said, we just got to build from it. It's in the past now. It's nothing we can really do to change the outcome, so we just got to take a step.
There's positives in everything in life, and there's always things to be thankful for and things you can't take for granted. But with that being said, you put a lot of time in for this moment, and to come up short and to let things slip away and know that you didn't perform your best, it definitely hurts.
More local news now. Wisconsin is once again seeing some of the lowest unemployment rates in state history. After 3 straight months at 3%, that unemployment rate is down to 2.9% for the month of February. The record low is 2.8%, which we saw in April of last year. Economy experts say it's a sign of a tight labor market here in Wisconsin. In the meantime, liquidation sales are underway at Madison area Shopko stores as the company plans to close all remaining stores by mid-June. Those closures will affect another 5,000 employees. Shopko executives say despite their efforts to sell, they couldn't find a buyer. The company is headquartered in Green Bay and filed for bankruptcy protection back in January. And Foxconn says it will start production at its Wisconsin factory by the end of next year. This comes after the company sent mixed signals earlier this year about whether it planned to suspend work in southeastern Wisconsin. Last month, the Taiwan-based company recommitted to building what is known as a Generation 6 factory, which typically makes display screens for smaller devices like cell phones, tablets, and TVs. The factory will be a part of a massive campus located near Racine. A spokesperson for Governor Tony Evers said this week, as the Foxconn project develops, there will be ongoing conversations to ensure that Wisconsin taxpayers see a good return on their investment. But the announcement by Foxconn makes it clear that Governor Evers is getting results. Now, whether you're planning a late spring break trip or looking ahead to summer vacation, we have some reminders to protect yourself and your personal information while you're away. State consumer experts say before you take off for a warmer destination, they suggest checking phones and tablets to make sure they're password protected and operating with the latest software systems. Make sure your bank and credit card companies know about your travel plans and put fraud alerts in place. It's also a good idea to turn off auto connect settings for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and make sure your social media accounts aren't giving away too much about you or your whereabouts. The family of a World War II veteran is asking for your help to give him the 100th birthday celebration he deserves. Laverne Borchardt is from Fort Atkinson and is a U.S. Army veteran. He will be turning 100 on May 27th. His granddaughter is now asking the community to send him birthday notes and cards. You can send letters to Lenora Borchardt at 7027 Fawn Lane in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, 53590. Scientists right here in Madison believe they're on the way to developing a drug that could treat multiple forms of cancer. And it's a beautiful weekend to get outside. The first weekend of spring is finally feeling like it. We're taking a live look over the Capitol. Chris is in next with your full first alert forecast.
A beautiful start to the weekend in store for us here right in south central Wisconsin. Temperatures, though, this morning a little bit colder compared to this time yesterday after that cold front came through on Thursday night. We're about 10 to 15 degrees colder depending on where you are across south central Wisconsin. Here in Madison, 12 degrees colder than this time yesterday with the temperature right at 25 degrees. We were at 37 this time yesterday. So definitely, yes, a colder start. Winds coming out of the south when they do blow. Right now the winds are calm here in Madison, but we've seen generally a southerly wind direction for the areas that are reporting wind. And as we push through the rest of the morning, we are going to see an increase in that southerly wind flow, perhaps as much as 10 to 15 miles per hour with winds out of the south and southwest later on. That's a wind direction that's really going to allow for those temperatures to warm up. So as we push forward through about the next 12 hours or so, watch how those temperatures begin to make it towards that 50-degree mark. And with enough sunshine, I do think it's possible that some folks will exceed that 50-degree mark later on today. Southerly winds will certainly do that. Now, right now, we do have high pressure on top of us that's keeping the skies clear. We are watching this region of low pressure to the west, and of course, everyone really wants to focus on the timing of that, and that's just because later on, we do have a pretty solid possibility of seeing the northern lights here in Wisconsin, but cloud cover, of course, can certainly change the story there. Right now, we are under what's known as a G2 watch from the Space Weather Prediction Center. That just means a moderate geomagnetic storm, and that means a better chance to see the northern lights. And so that best chance is going to be tonight, especially if you can get outside of town, away from light pollution. But again, that timing is going to be crucial because as that high pressure moves away and this low moves in, it's going to bring in cloud cover and the chance for showers into Sunday. But how quickly that cloud cover arrives, that's going to be key. And then eventually early next week, another high comes out of Canada. It's going to push that whole system away from us and allow for more clearing skies, along with some colder temperatures early next week before we warm things back up. But again, sunshine throughout all of this afternoon. Temperatures topping out right around 50. Here we are. This is 9 o'clock tonight. You see the cloud cover already starting to stream in from the south and west. And then once we get you towards 1 to 2 a.m., just about everyone's going to be in on that cloud cover. The rain comes in from the south early on Sunday and then gets pushed out from the north as that next region of high pressure comes in. A chilly start on Monday, but again, plenty of sunshine on Monday as well. Staying sunny through most of the week with the chance of thunderstorms Thursday and into Friday with temperatures in the 60s.
Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
Scientists on the UW-Madison campus are on their way toward developing a drug that may be able to fight against multiple forms of cancer. Researchers Richard Anderson and Vincent Cypress are investigating a protein called P53. That protein is known to cause the onset of cancer when it's mutated. However, it can also protect against cancer when unmutated. Now, Anderson and Cypress have discovered an unexpected regulator of the protein, an enzyme, and a lipid. A new discovery that could help prevent that mutation and open up the door to new therapies for a number of different types of cancer. Staying on campus, a UW-Madison researcher is getting international recognition for her work studying plankton and climate change. Now, you're looking at a species of plankton that lives in the Great Lakes and supports fish, including salmon, and a ship used to do the research in the Baltic Sea. Carol E. Lee recently received one of 12 grants in French President Emmanuel Macron's Make Our Planet Great Again initiative. Lee says not enough research has been done on the basis of food webs, and she believes that if plankton cannot adapt to climate change, many species around the world will go extinct. She'll receive more than $800,000 for her project over the next 3 to 5 years. The Toy Box is back open. What Woody, Buzz, and the whole gang are up to in the latest look at Toy Story 4. And there are several shows and movies you should find time for this weekend. Will's in next with the 3 things to watch. That's just ahead on News 3 Now this morning. In entertainment news, late-night comedian James Corden, is returning to host the 73rd annual Tony Awards. CBS made the announcement this week. Corden last hosted the show 3 years ago. He says he's thrilled to be returning to preside over Broadway's biggest night. The Tonys air June 9th right here on News 3 Now. Walt Disney is opening the toy box again and giving us a peek inside. The film company has released the new full-length trailer for Toy Story 4, which features Buzz and Woody making new pals on a road trip. Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, and a cast of favorites reunite to voice the animated feature, which is the first film in the franchise since 2010. Toy Story 4 hits theaters June 21st. Well, then, to watch something good, here's Will Lover's picks in this week's 3 Things to Watch.
That's why I live and breathe.
New on home video this week is Mary Poppins Returns.
Mary Poppins, you came back.
You seem hardly to have aged at all.
Really? One never discusses a woman's age, Michael. Would have hoped I taught you better.
Emily Blunt takes on the title role of the nanny in the film that features singing, dancing, and the world's greatest treasure, Angela Lansbury.
You've forgotten what it's like to be a child.
Mary Poppins Returns is available to rent or buy everywhere now.
Off we go.
My name is Peter Parker. I'm pretty sure you know the rest. I saved the city, fell in love, then I saved the city again and again and again.
Also new on home video is one of the best films of 2018, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Look, I'm a comic book, a cereal, I did a Christmas album, and a so-so popsicle. But this isn't about me. Not anymore.
The gorgeously animated film tells the story of multiple dimensions of Spider-Man crashing together in what might be the best superhero film ever made.
Hey guys.
Who are you?
I'm Gwen Stacy. I'm from another dimension.
How many more spider people are there?
Hey, fellas.
Hello.
This could literally not get any weirder.
It can get weirder.
Okay.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is available to rent or buy everywhere now.
Do animals talk in this dimension? Because I don't want to freak them out.
I'll pay you. You don't understand. It's a matter of life and death. If I don't get to my
How much?
$50? Well, you said you just lost everything you owned.
Not my sense of humor.
Finally, this week marks the 35-year anniversary of 1984's Romancing the Stone.
Well, I'm a romance novelist.
You're what? What are you doing here?
I told you. My sister's life depends on me.
Oh, don't give me that. Thought you were donating a kidney or something.
Kathleen Turner stars in the adventure in which she must exchange a treasure map to a gemstone to save her kidnapped sister. And Michael Douglas plays the mercenary rogue who helps her.
See over there by the fence? That's where my mother was born.
Romancing the Stone is available to rent or buy everywhere now.
What are we gonna do now?
Jump!
Happy watching. Those are the 3 things you need to watch. And this is Will Loper for News 3 Now this morning.
There's much more ahead on News 3 this morning, Saturday. Next, we're running through the morning's top stories, plus hopefully the Badgers didn't bust your bracket. We'll take you to a school where kids are wagering on fruits and veggies instead of hoops. Now, 100 people die every day here in America of an opioid overdose. Inside a growing problem, how survivors deal with the guilt they feel in the aftermath.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's March 23rd. I'm Madeline O'Neill in for Josh this morning. We'll get a check on weather with Chris in just a second, but first let's get you caught up on today's headlines. Congratulations to Madison's newest and largest class of police recruits. 36 men and women with backgrounds ranging from basketball coaches to an attorney and an aquatic plant harvester. They'll be serving as the department's newest police officers. During a speech at the graduation ceremony Friday night, Chief Mike Koval challenged the diverse group of new officers to help change the narrative around law enforcement. Another class of 50 recruits will graduate at the end of May. It's one and done for the Badgers basketball team, who fell to the Oregon Ducks in round 1 of the NCAA tournament Friday, 72-54. There certainly was hope for the Badgers at halftime when Khalil Iverson had a high-flying dunk with 3 seconds left that tied the game at 25, but the second half was all Oregon. The Ducks outscored the Badgers 47-29. The Badgers finished the season 23-11. This was their first appearance in the tournament since sitting out last year for the first time in 19 years. You can grab some good deals at area Shopko's this weekend. Liquidation sales are underway at Madison Shopko stores as the company plans to close all remaining locations by mid-June. Those closures will affect another 5,000 employees. Shopko executives say despite their efforts to sell, they couldn't find a buyer. The company is headquartered in Green Bay and filed for bankruptcy protection back in January. Whether you're planning a late spring break trip or looking ahead to summer vacation, state consumer experts have some important reminders to help protect yourself and your personal information while away. They suggest checking phones and tablets to make sure they're password protected and operating with the latest software systems. Make sure your bank and credit card companies know about your travel plans and put fraud alerts in place. It's also a good idea to turn off auto connect settings for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and make sure your social media accounts aren't giving away too much about you or your whereabouts. Now, it almost feels spring break worthy here in Wisconsin. 50 degrees feels pretty warm, Chris. What can we expect?
It is. And you know what? A lot of those school systems heading towards spring break just in time, although we're going to get a little chilly in the week ahead for a couple days before things rebound. Temperatures right now, though, 25 degrees. Winds are calm. Most of these temperatures are in the 20s and 30s this morning. Janesville at 27 right now, but then you head over to our friends in Platteville. They're at 30. Same for Mineral Point. Viroqua at 31. Right now. And all these temperatures are a little bit colder than they were at this time yesterday by about 10 to 15 degrees, depending on where you are. But notice the wind direction on these streamlines here. They are mainly out of the south. That is a sign of what is to come later on this afternoon and evening. In fact, to our south and west, temperatures are a lot warmer than they are right now. We're talking 47 to start the day in places like Kansas City. That warmer air, it's going to be picked up and moved towards the upper Midwest as we go through today. And that does mean temperatures are going to be topping out around that 50-degree mark as we get into this afternoon. And with enough sunshine, I do think it's possible that some of us will exceed that 50. Traffic-wise, folks, getting ready to head out early on the Saturday. Things are looking absolutely fantastic. Now, we don't want to see any green on the radar, but we do want to see that on our traffic maps. And of course, things so far are moving very smoothly across the Madison area.
All right. Thank you, Chris. While plenty of people were busy filling out their NCAA tournament brackets this week, kids at one school in Michigan were working on one that involves fruits and vegetables instead of hoops. A school in Niles, Michigan, just across the state line from Notre Dame and South Bend, is using a bracket to get kids more interested in eating healthy foods. Vegetables are on one side of the bracket, competing against fruits on the other. Kids try to get each food in the lunchroom every day and pick their favorite to see which one moves on in the tournament. The hope is that excitement carries over once kids go home after school.
And hopefully they'll go home and say, hey, Mom and Dad, I tried spinach today. Oh, that was awesome. Can we go to the store and buy that? And maybe they'll have that rather than eat chips.
The bracket will run through the rest of the month, ending with a championship matchup between the top fruit and the top vegetable. As the next generation gets older, they'll face a growing problem. Each and every day in this country, 100 people die from an opioid overdose. It's often been called an epidemic, and in its wake, hundreds and thousands of families are being torn apart. Plus, survivors are often ridden with guilt.
30 years old.
Cheryl Jouer starts each day scanning the obituaries, a daily ritual since the death of her son Corey in 2011 from a drug overdose.
Not a day goes by that I don't think of him. I miss him. I just miss him a lot. No mom should have to do this, Corey.
It is a heartache thousands of parents across the country know firsthand. According to government figures, more than 100 people die from opioids every single day in the United States. Left behind, a trail of broken families, some who went bankrupt or close to it, others raising grandkids. But in almost all cases, guilt.
I was at a loss for how to help him because he had overdosed about 4 times.
The guilt is really what I think about. Did I do enough?
I was willing to do whatever it took to help my child.
When Jacqueline Perrin found out her son was addicted to painkillers and later heroin, she quit her job and tried everything to help him, even confronting his drug dealers.
There were folks sitting on their porch with guns, barred windows, and I would go in there to get him, and there would be a scene because he would be humiliated that his mother would come there in that situation.
For many families, the battle against opioids does not end with the death of a child.
My main goal is to try to save someone's life and to make people not ashamed of this is a disease.
It's a goal shared by other parents caught up in the opioid epidemic.
My 17-year-old daughter, she's not doing very well.
The Center on Addiction has helped train hundreds of parents to become coaches for other families before it's too late.
It produces much more of an empathic approach to people struggling with substances and much less of a stigmatized view that this is just bad, morally bankrupt behavior.
When Jouer lost her son Corey, seeing her dancing at her wedding when he was 11 years old, she didn't know where to turn.
I wanted to die every single day. I had nobody to talk to that understood what I was going through.
That's why she started her own support group called Team Sharing and reads obituaries to see where she can help. She recently met with a police administrator outside Boston whose son died of an overdose several months ago.
They'll always have the pain of grief and losing their child. I can't take that away. But what I can do is help them know that they're not alone.
Parents united by grief, hoping to prevent another loss.
And we ask that you bless this food in Jesus' name. Amen.
Looking for something to do this weekend? We've got you covered. Your Weekend 608 is next on News 3 Now this morning.
Well, good Saturday morning. Temperatures are starting out into the 20s for a lot of folks. We are right in the mid-20s here in Madison with a temperature of 25 degrees. Temperatures as you work your way towards the north, just a little bit colder. 14 in Black River Falls right now, and then as you work your way over towards Wautoma, the temperature is 20. But we'll gradually see our temperatures warm up towards 50 degrees this afternoon, and with plenty of sunshine as well. It's going to be a pretty spectacular Saturday.
Yeah, beautiful weather, and it's the weekend here in the 608.
And here's what's going on around town the first weekend of spring.
One hilarious show takes the stage later today at the Overture. The Church Basement Ladies in Rise Up, Oh Men is set in the basement kitchen of a small-town Minnesota Lutheran church. This musical comedy introduces the men in the lives of the three matrons around whom previous popular Church Basement Ladies shows revolved. Needless to say, the orderly running of the kitchen is disrupted. You can catch the show at 2 and 8 o'clock.
Madison-based Fresco Opera Theater makes good on its mission to put a modern spin on traditional opera by presenting this weekend only Mozart's two-act opera Don Giovanni. But this time, it's done as a story about an all-female mafia family in The Sopranos' Don Giovanni's demise. This opera resonates so well in today's social landscape. It's all about the idea of women uniting to take down males who take advantage, suffocate, and demoralize the female gender. But you'll have to go today. There's just one show left, and it's at 8 o'clock tonight at the Overture.
1,400 kids in Madison have the chance to get a new bike for free. Free Bikes for Kids Madison will be giving away those bikes all weekend long with the help of 40 community partners. That organization believes a bike should be and can be accessible for any kid that wants one. If your child or someone you know is in need of a bike, you can pick one up today at the Warner Park Recreation Center from noon to 3, or tomorrow at the Free Bikes for Kids workshop on Verona Road, also from noon to 3.
And a final Sunday afternoon option for the whole clan. This time of the year, many birds are on the move, so make Sunday Family Day at the UW Arboretum for their All About Birds Family Nature program. Learn about migration, why some birds make the journey and while others do not, and which ones you might see in your yard. The walk is from 1:30 to 2:30, and indoor activities will follow from 2:30 to 3:30. It's designed for families with children between 3 and 11. The best part, it is free. Just meet at the Visitor Center.
As always, pick up a copy of this month's Madison magazine for all the best in and around the Madison area. Now, a sunny day is on the way for us lucky Wisconsinites here, but will this warmer weather last?
You're looking live over the Capitol. I'll have your full forecast next on News 3 Now this morning, Saturday.
But first, let's look at who's a 3 today. Happy birthday to Kinsey and everyone else turning 3.
Temperatures this morning starting out on a colder note compared to this time yesterday, but by the afternoon, things do get better. We're about 12 to 15 degrees colder across the state right now. Temperatures mainly in the 20s for a lot of folks. Watertown at 22 right now. Monroe coming in at 28 degrees. You work your way up towards places like Marquette County, and that's where temperatures are closer towards that 20-degree mark. Here in Madison, we're at 25 right now. Winds are calm, so there's not much of a wind chill out there, but when the wind does blow, you're generally starting to see those winds coming out of the south. That's going to be a key part of our afternoon forecast because that southerly wind is going to increase. This is at 11:30 and getting even stronger into the early afternoon out of the south and southwest. That's tapping into some warmer temperatures. In fact, places like Kansas City already close to 60 or 50 degrees this morning, and that warmer air is going to be moved into the upper Midwest. So temperatures will gradually begin to increase as we go throughout your morning, topping out right around 50 degrees this afternoon and staying dry because we do have high pressure right on top of us. But we really want to pay attention to this region of low pressure and how quickly that it gets here and brings in some cloud cover. The reason for that is we have a chance to see the northern lights overnight tonight. We're under what is known as a G2 watch. That just means a moderate geomagnetic storm. That essentially means the chance for the northern lights to be seen here in Wisconsin. But here's what happens as this high begins to move away. Low pressure gets closer and cloud cover does get introduced into the picture. Of course, that would happen on a chance to see the northern lights. But if the cloud cover can just be slow enough, you might be able to see those later on, especially the farther north you are. Eventually, another high moves in towards early next week. It's going to keep those temperatures down for Monday and into Tuesday. But this afternoon, temperatures right around 50 for your high. Here we are at 9 to 10 o'clock, and the cloud cover starts to stream in. I think the thickest cloud cover won't move in until probably about 1 or 2 a.m. Some chances for showers then moving in from the south and west initially, and then with that high coming in from the north, that's going to push all of that back south, clearing out that cloud cover and allowing those temperatures to really cool off into Monday. In fact, Monday is going to be a struggle to get out of the 30s, but then watch what happens by Thursday and Friday. We're talking some days that will be well into the 60s, along with some sunshine around here as well, especially for the mid part of the week. But we do have a chance for lightning and thunder by the time we get you to next Thursday and Friday.
Well, we've been asking you to share your morning with us. Dan Jenks emailed us this picture of some colder times. You can still see the snow on the ground there. Man, I'm glad that's gone. Hopefully
really
for good this season.
We'll see.
We'll see. Oh my gosh,
I can't make promises.
Thanks for sharing, Dan. What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it on the Channel 3000 Facebook page or on Twitter using the hashtag My News 3 Morning. We'll share our favorites right here on News 3 this morning. Now there's a full hour of News 3 ahead at 8, and then tomorrow morning on News 3 Now, we explore the positive side of technology, how virtual reality is helping a boy fighting brain cancer's dreams come true. But first, a zany home is causing a neighborhood of concerned homeowners to speak out. What's behind the latest so-called upgrades to the Flintstone house? We'll be right back. The infamous Flintstone house in Hillsborough, California has gone through some visible changes over the last year and a half, and they're causing quite the stir in the neighborhood.
That's right. Andrea Nakano has more in a lawsuit that was filed against the homeowners.
I don't like the way she did the backyard. You know, when I pass by 280 and look at that, you know, this is Hillsborough, not an amusement park.
From T-Rexes to elephants, a prehistoric theme has taken over the backyard of what's known as the Flintstone home. Even in the front driveway, a Yabba Dabba Doo sign greets visitors on their way in. This property has always caught people's eye from the 280 highway, but now, with the additions, some say it's an eyesore.
You have to, how do you say, go with the area, you know, not like that.
Neighbor complaints led to a formal proceeding in front of the Hillsborough Administrative Hearing Panel, which decided all the statues had to come down.
Well, you can't let people build first and then ask for permission later.
But after numerous attempts to have the homeowner, Florence Fang, comply with the panel's recommendations failed, the city took legal action.
I sent her a letter back in January, which she ignored, and therefore we had to file the lawsuit because it was clear she was not going to remove any of this work.
The city of Hillsborough says there are two concerns: the way the new landscaping looks and safety. It alleges some of the decking and stairs do not have safety rails. As for the statues, the city is worried about them being a potential hazard.
We don't know whether or not those statues are going to hold up in weather or an earthquake because we had no building permits and therefore don't know how they were installed.
Hudak says the homeowner doesn't live here but holds many events there. They've reportedly tried to apply for permits, but the city wants everything removed so it can start with a fresh slate. Well, what are we looking at for this weekend?
Well, not as spectacular of a forecast as that house. I don't think so.
I know.
That house was rather impressive. Sunshine would be impressive too, but like a high of 50 of it could be 70. that house really impressed me. We do have chances for rain coming in, especially as we go towards Sunday, unfortunately. Now, we will have a high of 51 on Sunday, but clouds and rain around for a lot of the day. It won't be until Sunday afternoon that we start to dry things out a little bit. By Monday, we're actually going to struggle a little bit to get out of the 30s. Low 40s for your highs on Monday, gradually warming up. In fact, low to mid 60s are possible by the end of the next week, Maddie, but that does come with the chance of some showers and thunderstorms. But hey, next weekend looks good.
No Flintstones house weather?
No Flintstone house weather yet. I'm sure summer is on the way. Summer weather around here is pretty spectacular.
Look at Bo.
Bo in Fitchburg. Look at the ears. Absolutely nice. 49 degrees around 3 o'clock today.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here at 8.